Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today on control access to specific fields, actions, pages, and sensitive data with easy security. And joining us today is Per Mogensen, and he is from MergeTool, and we are excited to have such a fantastic turnout today. I just want to make you aware that we will be recording this session, so it will be in our on-demand webinar library for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those into the questions box and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. And so now I will pass it on to Per to kick off our presentation.
Thank you. Today I want to talk about part of our solution, Easy Security, in here. And I'll spend a little more time. We have done this webinar several times with Innovia in here. And it's actually, there's a recorded webinar from last year that is actually more about how to set up security fast with our solution. Our Easy Security solution is really two parts, login and permissions being for standard NAV Business Central, allowing you a lot of simplifications, but also a lot of reporting against security if you need to have segregation of duty, for example. The other part of our solution is the field level and data security, and that's what enhances the normal NAV security with features you would normally have to write code for. You can buy and install and use each part of each one individually in here. And we do have installation wizards, so there'll be an initial process you run through the wizard, and after that, this application is fully working as you will see it today. This one is available from the classic version of NAV to the latest Business Central that has been released for on-premise. Field level and data security does work in parallel with the normal NAV security. So if you have some security set up, it will of course still work the same way as it is, but it will also allow you to, as you will see today, to even restrict super users' access. We can have pages being set for read-only, or we can completely hide pages if we don't allow people to see certain information or on a page. We can also, for fields, make fields read-only, or we can hide them. Actions is all the things that you see in the ribbon menu items in the classic version, the menu buttons. We can gray them out or again hide them in here. And the hiding feature is really something you can say, yeah, couldn't you do that with configurations in the Windows client? And configuration is really not security, it's usability. When you hide, then there is no way people bring it back again. And another very difference between that and configuration is hiding applies to any role center a user will pick, and not just the one where you have actually been through and configured it. The other part is data security of this solution, and that's what limits people's access so they can only see certain records in the system. Again, this one can also be based on each individual user, maybe only having a few locations or things like that one in here. All this one technically works by adding code to the pages, and the wizard will do that during installation. But we also can remove the code, so there's really no lasting changes that you have to deal with for using this application. But let me go here and show it to you. And I'll be using Business Central, but our application is basically very similar between all the versions of NAV in here. I have a role center selected in here that allow me to deal with all the features of our application. The first thing I want to look at is our field level security. So if I go in here, look at customers right now, I won't see anything being different in here. I will see all the menu items. I can click on all the menu items up here. And I will see all the customers down here currently. And if I look at a single customer, I will be able to control with normal NAV security if people can modify the record or not modify it. But I won't be able to control it so people can only modify the address, but not the credit limit, for example, up here. And same goes if I wanted to hide information like the balance, for example. But I want to go apply some field level security in here, and it is totally unrelated to the normal NAV security. And I will basically use what we call user security setup. Normally you have a user and you have a whole list of records underneath with permission sets, groups, and companies. We have made a different concept and saying we're going to have a default. So instead of specifying every user and remember to do it every time you create a new one, you can actually create the blank user ID and then apply to everybody. So this one will, of course, also apply to me in here. So when I now go back, I have this read-only setup. I can see all my menu items grayed out now. Looking at a single customer in here, I don't see any fields I can modify any longer. It is all now grayed out, so I only have the read-only access as the default user was in here. I want to go open up, so on this customer card, I want to be able to modify the address. I don't even want people to see the balance, and everything else I will leave read-only up here. And there's so many actions and so many things. I'm going to simplify it quite a lot so people only see the things they actually need to up here. To do that, I'll create another setup for myself in here. And I'm logged in with the user. So I'll go in here and say for the user, I don't want the read-only field level security setup. I want to create a new one. If I leave it blank, every page will show up normal again, of course, as it was in here. But I want to create a new one. And I just want to go in and call this address. And I will start out with the default being the read-only in here. And I can see page 0, all pages are now set to view in here. That's basically how it accomplished the read-only. I can now make exceptions for the pages that are different. So I'll go to my customer card. I want to make my customer card editable. I don't even want people to see the statistics in here. So I actually go in here and I will hide that page. So now on the customer card, I want to look at the details for that one because, yeah, the page is editable, but I want to now control the fields and the actions in there. In the same way as I did it for the pages, I'll make a default. So all fields, field 0, I'll make them gray out in here. And then I'll go ahead and add the few fields that I want people to change these fields about the address and phone number in here. Those ones I want to make editable. So again, I only do the things that are exceptions from the normal in here. I also wanted to take some information away, and I had all these fields related to the balance. Those ones, I actually want to go and hide in here. So now I have added 4 fields I don't want people to see. I have 5 fields they can edit, and everything else should just be grayed out here. I also want to control the ribbon or the actions up here. So I want to go, first of all, for my actions, I'm going to hide all of them. I will really simplify this page in here. So all these extra menu items, people don't get confused about them. Then I will go add the ones I want people to have. They should be able to see the contact. They should be able to see statistics. They should click on comments, ledger entries, and ship-tos in here. Everything else is now hidden in here. Those ones I want to make editable. Editable means people can click on it. I maybe don't really want them to click on ledger entries, so I'm going to gray it out, but I will allow people to see that menu item in here. So with this one, I now control my actions also in here. So this new field level security code, I created address. I go on to assign it to myself in here. So this one now is assigned to me. Everybody else has the read only up here. So going back and reopening the customer cards, this one now applies in here. My balance disappeared. My address is editable as I wanted it to. And my ribbon got really simple up here. Some of the menu items are grayed out. And even if I click on statistics, I get an error that the user cannot view that page actually in here. And I'm actually a super user currently in this database. So this one applies, of course, to everybody else also in this way. So this one really allows me to control this one to a very, very high level. And that's kind of the field level we did. It's kind of what I did for my statistics page is page level. And my actions and all the things in the ribbon where I simplified it was done as part of this field level security in here. So this one is a completely generic solution. It does not matter where the fields came from on that customer table. I'll be able to control all of them. Also, if I actually had a whole new table, either from an ISV or custom developed, when we actually do the setup for this, all we do is we select the tables, and then it allows this functionality to work actually in there. But the other part of this solution is how you actually can control what records people can see. And as I look at my customers right now, I can see I have customers for different locations out here, yellow, blue, green, and so on out here. And I maybe wanted to filter so people only saw the one that they should be having access to in here. So I will go create what we call a data security code. It's a very similar concept to field level. It just accomplishes something totally different. So I will create another one in here, and I will do it for my customer table. I will go in and call this one location, because that's kind of the main purpose, to filter by location in here. And again, I can have the same filter on all pages, or I can make exceptions for the pages that are different in here. So I want to go in and find my location code. And I want to do a hidden filter. I don't even want people to see it's on there, and they should, of course, not be able to get around it. And I will initially go here and hard code it. So it's either for the blank or the blue location in here. But I'll come back a little later, and I will actually change this one so it even can become user dependent. So you don't have to have a lot of combinations. You have that on a record related to the user instead. I also want to help people, because maybe there's a lot of customers that are blocked. And every time you look at a list of customers, so you have all the blocked ones. I want to go in and actually filter so I don't see the blocked ones by default. So I'll make a filter that is editable. People can get rid of it. And I'll filter for the first value in the option string in here. So this data security code I created, I will go in and apply that to my users also in here. And that is, again, just a second column in here, both to everybody else, the default, and to myself in here. As I now have created the user security setup and go back to my list of customers, I should see the blank and blue customers only in here. So in this way, I have filtered, so I only see those ones at this point in here. I can see I have filters up here, one being for the blocked, being the first value up here. and I can clear all the filters, but it's not going to allow me to see more customers than the blank and blue one out here. Same thing would of course be the case if I go into a sales order and I now do a lookup on my sell to customer in here. I should see only this list of the limited ones that are not blocked, and only for the blue location in here that happens to not be a column in here. But I hard-coded this value, the blue one in here. I maybe have a lot of combinations in there, and I maybe have a lot of other dimensions I potentially would like to filter on also in here. And we have created this record, we call it a user filter. And I can go out here and say, yeah, my default for a person should be that they should have the blue location. Maybe you always show only certain GL accounts and so on in here. But for myself in here, I will go map myself to a different filter, to either the red or the yellow location out here. So in that way, I have now a different location. I maybe also is a specific salesperson in the company. I maybe only work with certain countries or so on in here. All this one is just a filter. It is just a text string associated with the user. So I now have to go make a small modifications to my data security code. So it actually goes in and make this filter dependent on the user. So instead of having the hard-coded one, I want to substitute values into the filter. So I want to get rid of my blue, and then I want to look up to what we call dynamic filters. It is basically a piece of code that just returns a text string, and that text string will become the filter. So I could have my allowed posting range, my months, responsibility centers, that is all standard functionality. And then these UF user filters, that is all depending on this user filter record, one being about the location code. It is now a variable, and it will be replaced with the user dependent value before it actually gets applied in here. So now going back to my list of customers, I should see red, yellow, oops, that was sales orders, that was not customers. My customers in here, I will see yellow, red, and blank ones in here. And again, of course, it reapplied the filter for the blocks, and I can get rid of those, but I'm not going to get around my hidden filter, of course, that only allow me to see certain locations in here. This one could be applied to other places in the system actually also in here. And when I looked at the sales orders, showed me them, and I will have to create another field level security code for that one. But another place where this one can become very useful is in the general ledger. If I go here to the chart of accounts, I have an account cleaning down here, and I can see I have $26,000 on that one that has been posted. If I go in here and say, let me take a look at my department code. I can see I have sales, production, administration, and so on in here. And I maybe only wanted the person to actually know about production, for example, in here. I can build a data security code that will both affect my calculations and the records I can see in here. So to do that, I will go create another one. And this one will be for my GL account table in here. And this one will be department is the main purpose of that one. Again, every object can have its different filters, and I want to affect my calculation. So it's not really my global dimension code, but it's my global dimension filter in here. And I will go make a hidden one, and I'll basically make it apply to the user filter for my global dimension 1 in here that happens to be department code. So that's really all I had to do to create my data security code. I would, of course, need to apply it to my user, and I'll do it to everybody, and no field level, but I want this department 1 in here. So I haven't mapped my user to anything, and by default, my filter would actually be the blank one in here. So I can now see my 26,000 got to be 166 in here, and I only see the one for the blank one. It is also possible, so you actually would not allow people to see anything. One way to do that is to put a filter in that nothing can actually be correct for in here. So if I go out here, I would just put in like it has to be, my department code has to be either A and B at the same time, for example. That would make all the calculations be nothing in here. But as I mentioned, I was working in the production, so that's what I needed to verify cost and things like that one, what has been posted here. So I will now map myself to the production one in here. So going back to my chart of accounts, it now says 7,900. If I drill down, I see all the entries for production, but not for anything else in here. So in that way, yeah, I can see the chart of accounts, but I really only see a limited set of records, and even my calculations are actually applying to that one also in here. So this one is kind of the features of the field level and data security in here. Let me go back to my PowerPoint in here. So the price for this solution, field level and data security, it's not sold in any way by a certain number of tables or anything. You buy the solution once, and then you can use it for anything you have or buy in the future actually in here. And the cost for that is $2,500 US. The login and permissions, I haven't shown you any of this today, but it actually has a similar price, and most of our customers actually end up buying the complete solution because, yeah, you need some security set up with the normal NAV security. Then field level can actually do a lot of things very quickly for you for the places where you really need more precise access to the data in there. We have more than 1,000 Business Central and NAV customers that are actually using our solution. We have a couple of case studies on our website and a lot more information on there. And as Innovia has given us this opportunity to present this solution in here, you can actually also contact them if you want more detailed demonstration in there. Yeah, that was what I was thinking about going through today. Do you receive any questions?
Thank you, Per. No questions have come through at this time. If anybody does have any, please feel free to type those in and we can get those addressed for you. All right, well, it doesn't look like anything's coming through. So I just want to thank you, Per, for presenting today, and to everyone on today's call, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for joining us. And we do have a few more webinars coming soon. We have another one this afternoon with Dynamic Communities, and they're going to be presenting on why participating in BCUG NAVUG could be the smartest thing you've ever done. And then next Tuesday, the 17th, we have Jet Global presenting on corporate business analytics and faster financial reporting with Jet. And don't forget to check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And we also want to mention that we have our new podcast going on, and it's called the Innovia Conversation, and you can find out about all the different you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you get notified on all the new episodes that air. And Innovia is proud to be a platinum sponsor of BCUG NAVUG Summit in Orlando, Florida this year. And those dates are October 13th through the 18th. And if you haven't registered already or want more information about Summit, you can check out our conference page, and that is innovia.com/conferences. All right, well, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Per.